School districts have worked hard to get children back in school safely, but we are already seeing coronavirus cases in classrooms. The commissioner for the Department of Education tells us what parents, teachers, and kids need to know. And Hartford had a major problem on the first day of school, a malware attack which forced them to shut down for a day. What happened, and how can schools prevent this? Plus, the pressure keeps mounting to hold utility companies accountable. Senator Norm Needleman is here to tell us what's being done. And will we ever see lower electric rates? Straight ahead, this Sunday, September 13th, 2020.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning. It has been a bumpy road for schools all across our state. Kids are back in the classrooms, but not fully. And as kids go back, some schools are now seeing cases of COVID. State Education Commissioner Miguel Cardona joins us on Face the State. I want to thank you for joining us. I know this must be a very, very busy and challenging time for you.
It's a busy and challenging time, but it's also great to see so many students finally back into a schoolhouse, learning with their teachers and with their friends.
Do you find that you are in touch with schools on a day-to-day basis, especially now that we are seeing more and more cases of COVID? In fact, more than a dozen schools are now reporting cases.
Yes, we're in constant communication. There are calls daily, often 7 days a week, to make sure that we're aware of what's happening. And communicating the protocols that were put in place, making sure that districts have the support that they need to follow those protocols. So we are in communication regularly.
What's important here? I mean, obviously you want kids to be back in the classroom. You want them to learn. Online learning is very challenging, and this hybrid model certainly is that.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So we want students engaged in learning. We learned in the spring that remote learning is not a great substitute for in-person learning. So where possible, provide in-person learning if the health metrics allow for that and if the mitigation strategies that you implement allow for that. And those are critical prerequisites to that process. In many cases, the hybrid model allows for more distancing, which also means that there's an element of remote learning that's a part of that. As districts are opening up, they're finding ways to be successful in both, but also look toward bringing more students in if they can do that safely.
Right, and we had a chance to speak to educators last week and throughout this process about the need for Wi-Fi. Many students may not have that in their home, Chromebooks, things like that. How do you make sure that these students are getting the tools that they need to be able to learn?
First off, kudos to the educators in Connecticut who are working tirelessly. Everyone's a first-year teacher, everyone's a first-year administrator, because we're facing things that we've never faced ever before. So I just want to acknowledge the hard work and energy that they put into this and the commitment that they're showing. To close the digital divide, as you mentioned, we have to be conscious of not only how we're meeting the needs of kids within the schoolhouse, but also how we're helping them access learning, whether it's devices, connectivity, or content. In many cases, they need support with content when they're home as well. We're part of a team coming out of the governor's office who is the Everybody Learns initiative, really is putting laptops in the hands of students, putting Wi-Fi in neighborhoods that might not have it, and even making hotspots available for those communities where the Wi-Fi accessibility is not possible. It's a long process, but we're knee deep in that, and we look forward to having that improved day after day.
Right, and I think even though in most school districts where kids are going back into the classroom, albeit in a hybrid fashion, that there are still many parents out there who are very concerned about sending their kids to school in these times, and they have the right to do that, certainly. And how does that factor in, and how do you relieve their fears or concerns, or right now that this is the way that they feel, and it's going to take a while before they feel comfortable doing that?
Right. It is. It's new for everyone. Sending your children to school while we're battling a pandemic is a challenge. It's nerve-wracking. But I think that's where it's really critical, where parents are informed of what the local measures are that are in place to maintain an environment that is utilizing those mitigation strategies and keeping it as safe as they can. Being informed on that, looking at the websites, having those conversations, but also continuing to communicate with your children about the importance of facial coverings, the importance of distancing, the importance of washing hands, not only in the schoolhouse. And I think this is a point that I really want to share. Schools are only as safe as the community that they're embedded in. So if the practices in the community are less, people walk into schools, children will walk into schools, staff will walk into schools with whatever exposure they have in the community. So it's important that not only within our schools, but outside our schools in the community, we maintain those strategies to keep everyone safe.
I would imagine now that more than ever, parents are so important in their kids' education and always have been. But especially now with some of the things that they have to learn at home as far as keeping safe, but in the school, and a lot of parents are working. So how can kids get that supervision to make sure that they're doing their online learning, maybe when their parents are not at home or not able to spend that much time with them?
Yeah, that is a challenge that across the country districts are facing, families are facing. And you're absolutely right. Parents, they've been doing this since since March in the spring when schools closed down. They've had to do double duty, and they've worked really hard to maintain the routines in the homes and help students where they can. But we also know that that's a challenge because they have to get back to work. Many systems have been set up, certainly not enough to fill the need at this point, but systems have been set up where children can go to places where there's Wi-Fi, where there's supervision. I know many districts have stood up child care centers where children can go in and be supervised and get the academic support that they need. But there's still a lot of work to be done there, and we're engaging with that work, not only with our partners at the Office of Early Childhood, but also with our local municipalities who are engaging in this work.
Right, and I wanted to ask you about going forward. It's obviously a big question mark, what happens in the winter, and how do you monitor that? And things could dramatically change again, right?
Yeah, they can. And, we are optimistic that with good mitigation strategies and everyone's effort to make sure that we're abiding by those strategies, we can get school in the schoolhouse. But the governor and myself and the DPH commissioner have made it very clear, if the infection rates increase at a level where we don't feel that, and those metrics are out there, we don't have any qualms about pulling back to make sure that we're providing health and safety is guiding the decisions and all that we do. So we're preparing for that. We're hoping for the best, though. I do recall when Dr. Fauci came in and said, there's no reason to believe that we can't continue to keep our numbers low if we follow those protocols that Connecticut has done so well following. I have to feel confident, but we are prepared. If things go in the direction we don't want them to go, we have plans to scale back. That's part of the reason why we wanted over the summer for districts to plan for full in-person, hybrid, and remote learning.
So many challenges, so much uncertainty, people just don't know. We want to thank you for joining us on Face the State, and we hope that you come back again to update us, and we hope the best for our students, teachers, and parents. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very
Cardona.
much.
Coming up, Eversource remains on the hot seat. State regulators are investigating rate hikes and the company's response to August's tropical storm. At the same time, state lawmakers are pushing ahead with legislation. Plus, you can always watch past episodes of Face the State on our YouTube channel. We'll be right back.